What's good, everybody? It's another episode of Ask FP. Let's jump right into this first question, which is from Tyler. He said, who is the best running back in the NFL? It's a lot of good ones right now. Shady McCoy, Le'Veon Bell, Adrian Peterson's still technically in the league. But right now, and y'all gonna think I'm really being a homer in this episode, but I'm being honest. I think Matt Forte is the best running back in the NFL. All things considered, everything. You think about it, he didn't get the ball a lot in terms of as a rusher this year, but he proved capable when he got the opportunity. And then we don't even have to talk about his ability as a receiver out of the backfield. I mean, he also is a pretty decent blocker too. So my personal opinion, Matt Forte is the best running back in the NFL. Next question comes from Shamar Spencer. He says, I've always wondered how old you are because you seem to know so much about the history of the NBA. Well, thank you, Shamar. How old am I? Old, Shamar. I'm old, man. I'm old as water. You know how old water is? I'm right there with water. I'm like water, man. I'm not 40 yet, but I'm not 25 either. So let's leave it right there, Shamar. So just know that the history and the knowledge of the NBA that you're seeing or hearing or both is a product of a lot of years. You understand? There it is. Next, Shamar says, do you think that there will be another company that will compete with NBA 2K? And no, I'm not talking about wannabe NBA Live. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, the gap is still big right now between 2K and Live, but I don't know. I think it's shrunk from last year's versions to this year's, and I think it could potentially shrink again next year. The biggest thing about 2K is 2K has been overly ambitious. They've put out stuff that was really awesome, cool ideas, but some of the kinks weren't all worked out yet. And if Live, and that right there actually creates a little bit of a crevice for Live to crawl through. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but I don't think there's another company coming up with an NBA game anytime soon. Shamar Spencer also says, if you could take 5 players in NBA history to make a starting lineup, who would they be? And he loves the channel. I appreciate that, Shamar. Magic Johnson, point guard. Michael Jordan at the shooting guard. LeBron James at the 3. Tim Duncan at the 4. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the 5. That would be my all-time starting lineup. I mean, I just don't see what anybody is going to do with that team. Look at the size, the skill level, the athleticism at certain positions. I mean, it's nasty. It's pretty nasty. So, sports topic, my dog says, thoughts on the Cavs center situation. Who do you think they will acquire via trade? Monroe, Mozgov, or someone else? I think Timofey Mozgov is the most practical guy to acquire. I mean, I don't know. Thinking about what they'd have to give up to get Greg Monroe, even though I expect the price to go down for him closer to the All-Star break, because Detroit pretty much knows he's going to bolt at the end of the season anyway. So every other team knows that too. So, the price starts to go down. So I don't know, but I still would say Mozgov is probably the most likely answer if they can ever get Denver to come up off of him, which he's pretty coveted around the league because he defends, protects the rim, and rebounds. Simon Torvey Sunderland says, do you think that Jay Smooth will be a good fit for the Rockets? I do think he can be a good fit for the Rockets. Hopefully, for his sake, he has learned to curtail his crazy shooting. I mean, his shot selection is really the only thing that holds Josh Smith back. If you were to improve his shot selection, he would be, like one of the better power forwards in, I'm saying top 5, top 6 power forward. I mean, look at his shot blocking, look at the way he can run the floor, look at the way he finishes around the basket, his length, athleticism. The guy can really ball. He just takes crazy shots, and that really hurts his value. And I also think he's a little demotivated too. So maybe that changes in Houston. Sports Topic also says, do you think that the Islanders will make it past the second round in the playoffs? I don't know, man. It feels like it's been so long since the New York Islanders were actually good. Like it feels like I mean, I can't even I mean, it feels like it has been like decades, right? But I mean, right now they tied for first place in the Metropolitan Division, so it's hard to say for sure. I mean, I would say yes. I do think they're going to make past the second round. No, I don't know. I don't think past the second round. I think to the second round, maybe not past the second round. That would be my prediction. Simon Torvey Sutherland's back again. He says, when you play NBA 2K, do you prefer to shoot the ball with the stick or the square, the /X? I use both, actually. When I'm driving to the basket, going for a layup or going for a dunk, I use the stick. When I'm shooting a jump shot, I use the square /X. I don't even know why I started. You know what? I think I do that because there's really not a lot of ways to vary your jump shot. So you either you shoot your jump shot in standstill position or you shoot it moving. You go into the basket for a dunk or a layup. You control what kind of layup and what kind of dunk you do with the stick. So that's why I switch it up like that. Who we got next? We got King Hype. Mr. Hype V2 says, do you think that WWE 2K15 My Career is cheating in terms of the reverse system? I'm assuming you're talking about like the whole R2 or whatever to reverse moves. Cheating is probably a strong word. What I think is sometimes reversals can be a little bit overpowered. And if you got two people who really know how to reverse well, you just have a reverse fest in WWE 2K15 sometimes. And that can be a little bit annoying. But the challenge for the developers is you got to have reversals. So what mechanic or what engine do you put in to make it where you can't kind of exploit it? So I think that's the issue. Mr. Hype V2 also says, I bought the Kobe 9 Masterpiece and I would like to know if I can wear it in game instead of just in cutscenes. I believe you should be able to go in and equip those when you like set up the attire or whatever for your my player. You should be able to go in and toggle through the cutscene attire as well as the in-game attire. So any shoes, unless something that I missed, you should be able to use or wear inside the game as well as in cutscenes. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me on that. If the Kobe 9 Masterpiece is different, but that's what I thought. Also, Jalen Cook says, can you change the injury frequency slider after you start My GM in NBA 2K15? The answer to that question, Jalen, is no. You cannot change it in My GM, but you can change it in My League at any point during the My League. So this is another difference that I found that, thanks to you, Jalen, I found between My GM and My League. You can change the things like all the sliders and the frequencies after you start your league or whatever you want to call it. But you can't do it in My GM. So there is that. That's something cool to know if somebody just kind of wants to know the difference, one of the other differences. Moving on, Jake Pagliaro says, how far will the Pittsburgh Steelers go in the playoffs? Well, you know what? A lot of it's going to depend on how healthy Le'Veon Bell is. I mean, he hyperextended his knee in the regular season finale against the Cincinnati Bengals. So his availability is obviously very, very important. But in the first, in the first playoff game, they already have a fairly, stiff game coming up already just in the first playoff game with playing their rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. Haloti Ngata's coming back for the Ravens, so that's going to be a tough game. But I'm still picking Pittsburgh to win that game. I don't, however, think that they can beat either the Patriots or the Broncos, which I believe if they win, they would actually have to play the Broncos, and I don't think they can beat the Broncos in Denver. So that's that. But the Great Patriot says, who are your NFL season awards and why? That's an interesting question. It might take me some time to totally explain everything. I won't really talk about some of the more obscure awards. Let's talk about just okay, offensive rookie of the year. Come on, this is easy. This is Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, with 91 catches, 1,300 yards. I mean, he's bananas. I mean, there's nobody else even close. Mike Evans is second, but it's not close. Defensive rookie of the year is a little bit closer. Khalil Mack would be my choice for the Oakland Raiders. C.J. Mosley's had a pretty good year, and so has Aaron Donald. But Khalil Mack looks like a future superstar. I don't know if you can say that about everybody else. Comeback player of the year would definitely be Rob Gronkowski after last year's injury-filled season. He's been very good. Defensive coach of the year would be Bruce Arians. What he's done with the Cardinals, with all of the quarterback issues that they have and no really solid running game, definitely. Offensive player of the year is Tom Brady. Give him the slight edge over Aaron Rodgers, right? And that's really close for me. But I just think he's done more with less. Defensive player of the year is J.J. Watt, absolutely. If his team made the playoffs, we might be talking about MVP. But my MVP would be Tom Brady because same reasons for the offensive player of the year. So that's that. Jack Gawant says, with 14 game-winning or game-tying shots already in his career, do you think that Dame Lillard is the most clutch player in the league? He's definitely up there. But I mean, I can't necessarily put him ahead of, LeBron, Kevin Durant, those other guys that have proven to be, pretty clutch too. Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, all of those guys have proven to be really clutch themselves. So, but Dame is definitely in the conversation because of the shots that he's already made. I mean, you make a short list of people you want taking a shot at the end of the game. He's definitely got to be on it. Jack Gawant also says he may be the only one who has ever noticed this, but why can't the CPU in the NBA 2K throw fast break lobs? I almost promise you, Jack, you are not the only one that ever noticed that. There are people who sit up and literally dissect everything that 2K can't do or don't do right. So I'm sure somebody else has noticed that. But I'm telling you, you're right. You see them throw lobs in pick and roll situations and half court setups, but you never see it on the break. That's something that could possibly be tuned with some different logic, with the developers. That's something that I'll bring up for them the next time I talk to somebody from there. So that'd be nice to see moving forward. Jack Gawant also says, Lillard, Wall, Lowry, Irving, in terms of better player, how would you order these four? Have a great day. You too, Jack. It's really, that's really hard. I sat down and looked at this question about 10 minutes before I started doing this, and I was like, I don't know. This is tough. I probably would say Wall, Lillard, Lowry, Irving. But the gap is so small between all of them. It's really, this is really a heck of a time for point guards in the NBA right now. I mean, there are some really good ones. Brandon Cage says, with the addition of Rondo, do the Mavs have the best starting lineup in the NBA, at least on paper? If not, who does? Here's what I'm saying. Does Dallas have a good starting lineup? Yes, they have a good starting lineup. Rondo, Monte Ellis, Chandler Parsons, Tyson Chandler. I mean, yes, they have a very, and I'm sorry, Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, yes, they have a great starting five. But I would take the Bulls starting five, the Bulls healthy starting five over Dallas's. Joakim Noah, Tyson Chandler, I'll give Joe a slight edge there. I would. Pau Gasol, Dirk Nowitzki. I don't know. I think that's a wash. And then if you look at the small forward position, you got Chandler Parsons and Dunleavy. I mean, Dallas definitely wins that. Jimmy Butler, Monte Ellis. I don't know. I think Jimmy Butler. So I don't know, man. And either the point guard thing is kind of a wash to me personally, but we'll see. Brandon Cage says, do you think Rex Ryan deserves another coaching job? Maybe with the Bears. He's a good coach, just wants it given good teams over the last 4 years. I would love to see Rex Ryan with the Bears, but not as a head coach. I think I would like to see him as a defensive coordinator. I want the Bears to have a head coach that is a leader of men with not so much of a drastic specialty on one side of the ball. Maybe a special teams coach, but with Rex Ryan as the defensive coordinator, I love it. Brian Cyrus got a long one. He says, what's your opinion of Jim Harbaugh going to Michigan? He's a good coach that should have stayed with San Francisco instead of being forced out. Would have loved to see him get another head coaching job in the NBA instead of heading back to college. Well, I'm saying NBA, I meant NFL. I think that going to college is not necessarily like a downgrade or anything. He could have gotten another head coaching job, I believe. But I just think that Michigan came so hard at him with the offer. And that's his alma mater. So I just think that he chose to go there. I don't think he had to go there. So I would have liked it if they would have announced that he was on the Bears list. I would have been ecstatic. But it is what it is. Brandon Cage says, who would you like to see? Segway. Who would you like to see the Bears make their head coach? Who do you think the Jets should name as GM and head coach? Well, the Bears are in the same boat as the Jets with the GM and head coach thing. Bears' situation is different. If you hire somebody that doesn't have experience, I like Todd Bowles from Arizona. If you're looking for somebody with experience, if the Bears are going to keep Jay Cutler at quarterback, then I would say Mike Shanahan would be the right pick because he coached them. Cutler had success. I don't know that's going to fix Cutler, but that would be the thing. In terms of the Jets, it's hard to say about a GM, but Chris Ballard, who's currently with, I believe, the Chiefs, is the hottest name as a general manager right now. Who he brings in as a head coach, I wouldn't know, but they got to be able to handle New York, and that's a whole different beast. Tyler says, do you think that it's the right decision to suspend Ndamukong Suh? I do think it's the right decision. Something has to happen where the mentality of players has to change. Tough does not have to mean nasty and dirty. Football is rough enough. Football is a tough enough game. Guys are going to get hurt on their own. We don't have to have this stuff where people are doing all this extra stuff, putting guys in extra danger, doing stuff that doesn't matter. To me, it's kind of a punk move. I can't beat you, so I'm going to try to injure you doing something outside of the game. That's just a punk move. And yeah, he deserved to be suspended. Tyler also says, who will win the Lions or the Cowboys? I got the Cowboys. I would have taken the Cowboys even if Suh had played, but without Suh, I definitely take the Cowboys. Right now, I think the Cowboys are like that one team in the NFC that hardly nobody wants to see. I mean, outside of the Seahawks, who are playing defensively, are playing out of their mind. But Dallas defense is playing a lot better, and that offense is the most balanced in the NFL, in my personal opinion. And I think that Dallas wins, and Dallas gives whoever they play in the divisional playoff round a run for their money on the real. Dallas is really tough right now. Zachary says, do you think that Sami Zayn, I think this is the first WWE question. That's got to be a record. He says, do you think that Sami Zayn will get a big push when he makes it to the main roster or just be a mid-carder? You never know with the WWE and creative. You just never know. I mean, he's 30 already, I believe, 30 or 31. So you can't waste a lot of time. I mean, he needs to get going, especially since so much of what he does is about athleticism. You don't want to wait until he can't, he loses something. So you would think he would get a nice push, especially since it seems like the roster is somewhat turning over. But you just never know. They do peculiar stuff. It's going to depend on how good he is on the mic, really. That's really going to be the thing. Matt Price says, Wall, Beal, or Curry Thompson for best young backcourt. Sorry, I couldn't put Rose Butler in there. I don't know why you couldn't put Rose Butler in there, because you should have, Matt. You should have. You really should have, because if Rose is right, which he has been, I would say, a good, last 10, 11 games, he's been pretty decent. I don't understand why he wouldn't be there. Butler's better than Beal, in my opinion. And I think Butler is right there with Klay Thompson right now. And, Curry Rose, like I said, if Rose is together, me personally, I would take Rose Butler. But of the two you presented, I would probably go Wall Beal, actually. Connor Massey says, do you think if Aaron Rodgers was injured the whole game against Detroit, that Green Bay would have still won. No, I don't. I don't think that they would have won. I don't think they win that game with Matt Flynn at quarterback. Detroit's defense is too good for a backup quarterback to have produced in that situation. That's just what I think. That's why I think Aaron Rodgers is right up there with Tom Brady for the MVP. But even though I did say I would give it to Tom Brady, but I think that's why Rodgers is right up there, because he can do things that not every quarterback's going to be able to do. So I give him the credit for that, for sure. This episode was a long one of Ask FP. Y'all subscribe and don't forget to leave me a like. Peace.